Hi guys, welcome back to Crow's Whisper Tarot. Today we're going to look at your inner child and see what stage you're at with your inner child and connecting and seeing how this experience has affected you in your life today, and seeing if there's any blocks that are stopping you from connecting with your inner child. So for those who don't know, your inner child is your past self from when you were much younger than 10 usually. And it's about connecting with that innocence and playfulness and adventure sense that we tend to not have in our everyday life as an adult usually. And sometimes even in our teenage self, we sort of lose that aspect of ourselves a little bit. So today we're going to explore what we're at in terms of connecting with your inner self and go from there. So let's skip over to the piles. Okay guys, here are the piles. We have pile 1, pile 2, pile 3. Take your time in selecting the piles and click the timestamp to skip to where you need to begin. Hi pile 1, let's look at your cards today. You guys selected the green fluorite over here. Yeah, I already pre-shuffled the cards, but I didn't actually look at them yet. So let's see what comes through. Might actually move that a little bit off to the side. There's actually quite a few cards today compared to what I usually shuffle, so this is quite interesting. So in terms of your inner child, I feel like there's someone, when you were younger, you're definitely someone who was very adventurous, quite naive, willing to explore the world as much as possible. With the Page of Swords here, you're definitely someone who is willing to really explore different situations and really interested in finding out new information and thinking about a lot of things that were at interest to you. And I think that's definitely something that you've maintained over time to some extent. You've also got the Fool card here and it's all about exploring things that are dangerous. You might have been a little bit reckless as a kid as well, just because of your wanting to explore and wanting to see a lot of interesting things. And I think your mind was always going off with random questions about different topics all the time, and always trying to get the best out of the situation that you're in. I think the one thing that you guys have sort of lost a little bit is that sense of recklessness, which is not a bad thing. Usually as an adult we tend to like being quite in control of things and quite stable, but with the Temperance card here, it's definitely something that has changed quite drastically, is your ability to balance your creativity and your intuitiveness and inspiration to look at a lot of different aspects in life and discover a lot of things. And I think that's balanced out a little bit here. I think now you're sort of gone from being very adventurous to a little bit of a homebody with the Queen of Cups here. You're all about comfort, all about wanting to be calm and collected in your emotions and really focus on internalizing a lot of that creativity into different aspects of your life. I'm picking up a lot of creative hobbies, but I feel like it's a lot of creative hobbies that you do at home more than going out and doing things. I think that's definitely something that has changed a little bit with your inner child. In terms of any blocks that have propped up throughout this, I'm picking up that you guys, again with that balance, you've got the Justice card here. It's all about figuring out the balance between what is good for you and what might be of risk. And I think you've definitely gone from someone who just sort of thinks on the go, pushes forward, almost like a kid sort of going into places that they shouldn't. They just want to explore, or just do things without thinking, like crossing the road, etc. But I think that now you're definitely weighing out the pros and cons to every situation. You're really using your mind, not so much to explore, but to analyze now. So that's the thing that has definitely changed, is your mindset of, I really want to go about something, but I want to stay and explore in detail, not just sort of go in head first and see what happens. That's definitely something that has changed. Now, potentially some of you may have gotten married or in a very stable relationship, and that's something that your inner child is really happy with. It's definitely something that has grown over time, and I feel like even your connection to yourself has been pretty strong throughout time as well. And it's definitely worth considering that you may have not had as many close friends in your community over when you were growing up as well. So with the Five of Cups here, it's definitely a loss of something that you had during childhood, and it might have been relationships, it might have been people in your life, but I feel like you guys, there's certain situations or people that have meant to be there in your life but now either passed away or have moved on for whatever reason, and I feel like that is slightly holding you back, in the sense of you want to really connect and be connected to other people with the Queen of Cups here, and it's something that you have definitely worked on and definitely improved on. But I feel like the one thing that you guys are struggling with is that you haven't quite got to the point where you can be comfortably yourself around people. I think either you are very much in your head and you shield your emotional side to a lot of people, or you end up really holding on to emotions and experiences that you've had in the past. And it's not that they hold you back, but subconsciously they're sort of blocking a lot of that creativity and a lot of that inspiration that comes through. And it also might be that that's where you're getting that over-analyzing aspect of things, where you're really looking at the risk factors and really making sure that you are safe. And it could just be because you were hurt in the past as well, potentially. And with the Six of Wands here, that sort of, in a way, balances out this card, because the Six of Wands is all about victory, seeing yourself and seeing how far you've come, and you're seeing that inspiration within yourself. And if you feel like you're not quite at that stage, just know that Spirit does see you as being at that stage where you are very much true to yourself and comfortable with who you are. And even in like groups of people, you're still comfortable with expressing who you are, and you're not shielding who you are from other people. So that's very, very positive in that sense too. Now, the other cards that you got was this card, let it go, let go of all that no longer serves you. So that sort of ties in to this card here with the Five of Cups. It's all about letting go of the past and letting go of the struggles that you've had, and not so much, you know, pretending they don't exist. It's more accepting that things don't always work out, and that's fine. And if things or people do move on, it's not because of you necessarily. It's just a lesson that you need to learn. And even when it comes to experiences that you feel like have been traumatic or difficult, it's not about trying to pretend that they never happened. It's about trying to see that growth that you've had through that experience and seeing the positive of that. Not all experiences will come with that sense where you can switch it into a positive, but it is about accepting that it did happen and it wasn't great if it was a bad experience, accepting that you know what to do in that situation. And clearly, with how good your mind is, you're good with analyzing, so you would be able to protect yourself pretty well from that situation. But it doesn't mean that you need to hold back in terms of trying to I think it's your explorative side that I keep getting that somehow is no longer what it used to be. And I think your adventurous side and exploring new things hasn't quite added up enough in that sense. So now we've got another card, which is, it is never truly the end. In this, everything will be okay. So definitely something that you guys have struggled with was your sense of safety, perhaps, or even your sense of groundedness. It's definitely something that has affected you for a very long time. And I also feel like you guys have not so much been neglected, but it's more you guys have really struggled with finding your feet. And I think because you're very much in your head a lot of the time, that sense of groundedness that you're getting isn't quite what it used to be. So let me just look at the guidebook, because it has quite a few passages that I might be able to pick up a little bit more on. Endings are bittersweet in nature and can seem to come at the least opportune moments. That's often true that when one door closes, another one opens. It may not be what we wish for at the time, and it doesn't always bring us the comfort we desire. And this book is really good because it has a little prompt for you guys to just think about. What can you do today to honor the current endings in your life? So in that sense, if you're losing a friend, or you're moving places, or you're moving or there's a new person coming in your environment, something is being changed and something is being lost. Just consider what it brings to you and what you can do to take comfort for that situation and accepting that situation. Because it's always tricky to process your emotions, and really, I think that's the other thing, is you guys really struggle to take care of your emotions and let your emotions out in a productive sense. I feel like you guys sort of bottle it up and sort of build it up until you cry your eyes out, and then you go back to square one. And that's not the most productive way to go about things. I feel like for you guys, it's the ability to really voice your emotions that have switched over time. And it's something that you guys need to take heart in, that you are being guided and you are being protected, but it's up to you how you channel those emotions through. And I think the main thing is you guys have a lot of, you hold on so tight to seem a certain way and present a certain way and, you know, show a version of yourself that you feel is very authentic. But I think what you're missing is that emotional part that is not always, you know, good to look at, and it's not always the most favorable. But I think what you guys need is really to focus on growing as an individual and growing as a person, because everything will be okay regardless of what seems to be cropping up in your life. Is that everything will be okay. And even if you do let out your emotions and do seem, you know, what was I going to say? You have a lot of emotions that will crop up, and they may not be the best. It's like if you ugly cry, it's not the best, but the reality is it gives you so much hope for the future and so much inspiration for the future, and you can't lose that. That is a very important part of who you are as a person. And I think your inner child really wants you to tap into that emotional side of yourself more than anything. Because mentally you are there. Mentally you have changed as a person. But I think emotionally it's definitely limited in terms of who you are and who you've become. I think you're projecting more your mental intelligence, pushing that forward, and then your emotions are in the background. For some of you, it could be that this relationship is helping you to grow out of those habits and forcing you out of those situations. For others of you, it could be that because you're not expressing your emotions as well, you're not being able to really connect to other people. It just depends on your situation. As I always say, you know your life better than I do, so take it as it resonates. But just keep in mind that no matter what, your inner child definitely has seen your growth and definitely has seen how powerful you have become within yourself and how much you have owned who you are. Except for that emotional side, just keep that in mind. But other than that, that is your reading, pile 1. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe so I can continue giving you readings that are more accurate for you. So if you do subscribe, I can connect to your energy a lot better. I can provide you with much better and more accurate readings a lot of the time for things that you do need in your life. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Hey pile 2, this is your reading. So you guys picked the pyrite here, which is very sparkly. So let's have a look at your cards. So I pre-shuffled the cards. I didn't actually get a chance to look at them. Let's do these ones first. All right, so off the bat, as a kid, I feel like you were definitely someone who was very good at absorbing situations. You tend to take your time with a lot of things around you, and it takes a while for you to settle into an environment. I feel like you guys are just very cautious and very slow and need the time for yourself to really process and see things. For some of you, you could have been an introvert, but I feel like you guys just need the time to process if something was right for you or if something needed to be changed. I think a lot of the time you tend to really take the time to absorb information and absorb things around you, and I feel like that's definitely something that has been something that you've been working on for a while now. I also feel like you guys may have been switching environments pretty frequently for some of you as well, just because of that slow travel. I feel like you never had the time to really settle down in one spot long enough that you can feel grounded. I feel like you guys always have a little bit of that fluctuation happening that tends to make you more nervous about settling into an environment. For some of you, it's always at the back of your mind that if you do end up moving, you have to start from scratch, and that might be just something that has stayed with you over time. I also get the sense that now, as an adult, you're finding that it's really hard for you to push yourself into unfamiliar environments. The Hierophant here is usually all about really being traditional and being stuck in a method of doing things. And I feel like you guys have really struggled to put yourself in a position where you have to be stable and you have to be sort of grounded. And I feel like one of the blocks that you do have towards your inner child is that you're someone now who is very ambitious, but you're very fast with what you do. I feel like you've adapted to changing environments so frequently that you ended up feeling like the only way to really get places is to really push yourself forward. And I think that's where it becomes really challenging for yourself to really hold on and go back to that grounded energy. And it seems like a lot of the time you're feeling like you have to really push yourself forward all the time, because otherwise you feel like you won't keep up with the changing environment. And I feel like in really stable places you're feeling quite anxious, and you don't know how to react necessarily. I feel like for some of you as well, it's really tough for you to absorb information when you're in this heightened state. I feel like you sort of zone in and you can't really see the broader picture of things. So the other thing that your inner child feels with the King of Cups here is that you're now someone who is very good at reading a room. Because you're so used to changing environments, you're really quick to pick up different people's energies and their thoughts and just absorb that really quickly. I feel like I've done a reading for some of you before, but it's definitely something that you have worked on and have changed over time. I feel like the other thing is with the Moon card here, you sort of get to a stage where you're shielding yourself from what you see. So the way you see an environment is very different from how others perceive it, or even how others perceive you. And that's with the Moon card here. You're tending to look at your reflection, whereas others are looking at you. And so it becomes a point where you're not able to absorb information as slowly. I feel like you're always looking at how you're perceived and looking at external validation for some of you as well. It's a tough situation because as a kid, you're definitely someone who took the time to just be yourself, and you had that inner groundedness for a long time. You knew who you were just slow to absorb situations, and that is perfectly fine for a kid. But what's coming up now is that you're so much focused on the external that you're not able to take the time and process yourself and see the path ahead. Rather, you're sort of focusing on what's going on either side of you and not looking at yourself as an individual. And it could be that, that's in social situations or work situations, or even family. You're focused on other people rather than yourself. And what Spirit wants you to do is look at yourself. Look at all parts of yourself and look within, because as much as your head is sort of racing around, and you're also physically racing around for some of you too, you need to take the time to really ground yourself and hold yourself in a much more stable way. I think you tend to avoid certain parts of yourself, at least not looking deep enough into yourself. So that's something that you probably need to work on, is focusing on yourself and focusing on growing as an individual. And with the Page of Coins here, which is similar to the Page of Pentacles, you guys need to take things a little bit slower and be more able to explore and express yourself. I think you guys are very focused on not so much work, but different goals that you have for yourself. And I think because of those goals, you're hyper focused on other people or how you're viewed by other people. And instead of focusing on yourself and your own capabilities and your own achievements, I think you're very much into external validation to some of you as well. And I feel like as much as you try to push yourself forward and almost see yourself in a higher light, a lot of the time you end up almost hyper aware of things around you, but you need to take the time and slow down and really ground yourself in order to have a certain effect. And I think that's what you're missing, is that grounded energy. I think you've almost did a complete 180 on your personality from you as a child and lost that grounded sense of self. And for some of you as well, you may have lost your ability to seek out places that are safe with the Find Your Haven card here. There's a place of wonder waiting for you. And I think, you know, as a kid, you probably had a really comfortable spot in your house, whether it was like a tent or a fort or like a cubby house or like a tree house. It's somewhere that you could just sit and be yourself. And I think you need to go back to that particular thought process and find where is a good spot for you at the moment to really sit and ground yourself and feel safe and feel stable. I think that's what you've been missing. And your inner child really wants you to know that you need to return to this state. A lot of the time you can miss certain aspects of yourself as a kid because a lot of what you use as a kid to comfort yourself can be used when you're an adult, because that fundamental safety net will always feel like a safety net, and that is perfectly fine. If that means that you're going to be more grounded and more in tune to yourself, then that's something that you have to do. And definitely you guys went from the earth energy all the way to fire, and those are pretty much complete opposites in terms of how they function, because earth is grounded, stable, fire is explosive and, you know, has a lot of energy, and those are very different changes to your own personality in that sense. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think in your case, you do need to go back to feeling grounded and stable and being able to absorb that very easily. And we have the Get Lost card here, by exploring your imagination. And that's the other thing, is that childlike creativity might be something that you guys have not embraced as much over time. And it can be something that may help you feel more grounded. For some of you, you could be someone who enjoys painting and enjoys that ability to sort of sit in one spot and, you know, paint something that doesn't seem, you know, as abstract, but still gives you a lot of joy and a lot of comfort, and that itself feels stable to you, and that's fine. And it might just be, you know, one of those coloring books or paint by numbers or something, and that is fine too. It's just a matter of being able to fall into a world where the external is not important and focusing all on yourself. And I think that's something that you guys need to work on. Now, in terms of a journaling prompt for you guys for this card, how does it feel in your body when you think about the idea of being a little lost? Do you feel excitement or dread? Ask yourself why you might feel this way around the idea of being lost. Is there a way to release the desire to be in control around the unknown? And I think that's the other thing, is because you are placed in so many different uncomfortable situations, you're sort of hyper-focused on being a certain way in order to cope. And I think accepting what makes you feel being able to accept what becomes very controlling is very important for you. So I think for a lot of you, you need to focus on being able to see that being uncomfortable is okay, and it's okay to not know what to say in a situation, what to do in a situation, and it's okay to sit with uncomfortable thoughts. And that's just something that you would over time need to work on, because as much as you guys have grown as an individual, I think being able to just sit with your own energy and be comfortable with your own energy is very important for you guys, and that's going to take a little bit of time to get used to. But overall, they're definitely very proud of you for bringing them through this situation and growing as a person. The only thing is they just feel with the inner child, you need to be more comfortable with slowing down and go back to that state of slowing down. So that is your reading, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe so I can continue giving you readings that are more accurate for you. So if you do subscribe, I can connect to your energy a lot better. I can provide you with much better and more accurate readings a lot of the time for things that you do need in your life. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Welcome, pile 3. So this is your reading. You guys selected the citrine crystal right here. Now let's have a look at your cards. So I haven't got a chance to properly look at your cards yet. Some of them flipped upright though. So, to start off with, as a child, you're definitely someone who enjoyed their time alone and enjoyed their comfort a lot. You're definitely someone who spent a lot of time at home on the couch trying to, paint, draw, do a lot of creative things with the Page of Wands as well. So you're definitely someone who was very explorative, very imaginative, had a lot of time to sit and absorb a lot of things in your life and spent a lot of time focusing on who you are as a person and exploring your creative side, and also exploring, picking up different skills and that sort of thing as well. I feel like over time, you're definitely someone who has used that creativity but shifted away slightly. With the Queen of Swords here, you become someone who is very comfortable with being in control and very intelligent and being able to absorb a lot of information at once. You've definitely grown your mind and your creativity over time and become very strong in who you are. I think the biggest thing that has changed is that you see the world through a very different light. I think maybe as a child you were shielded a lot from the world or external news or factors, and now that you're an adult, you see the world through a very different light. And with the World card here, your inner child sees you as someone who has gone through many cycles and many different growth cycles. So I feel like you went from being really at home and grounded to being willing to explore. And then you went from being comfortable with your surroundings and exploring and imagination. And now you become someone who is very good at reading people, or very good at being able to interact with people, and very good at conversing rather than sort of mumbling through words. And those aspects have definitely changed a lot, and they definitely identify your growth in terms of who you've become. And you've got the World card twice here as well. So what it shows is that they definitely see that you've gone through a lot of cycles and a lot of ways to gain your skills and move past certain obstacles in your life and learn different life lessons. And you've gone through many, many cycles, and that's definitely shaped who you are as a person now. And the one thing that they're picking up on is that with the energy, you've gone from a page who is someone who very much holds on to their energy and holds on to the things around them and feels a lot safer with being in their comfortable environments. So not, for example, you're at home, you're with your friends, you're feeling comfortable, whereas if you go into a group of people that you don't have any interaction with and don't know, then you've become someone who adjusts your energy as a child. You used to adjust your energy to suit that particular environment. And now you've got to a stage where you're now the King of Wands. So you're someone who definitely knows who you are, you know your energy, you're more comfortable with yourself, you're more willing to put yourself out there and, you know, do a lot of public speaking, have eyes on you, and you're feeling comfortable with that, and you're feeling a lot more in control of who you are and what you express to people and what you show people. So that's definitely something that has changed over time. I think the only thing that has blocked you over time is with the Seven of Swords card here, is that you don't tend to, you hold back at times when it comes to people criticizing you or people sort of suggesting things to you. You sort of hold back a little bit in that sense. I think you've got to a point where you're very much, you know who you are and you're comfortable with who you are, but taking on criticism and taking on suggestions from other people, you don't quite absorb it the way you would have as your inner child sees it. And what that ends up doing is it's not allowing you to grow through another cycle. I think at this stage you've been through a lot of cycles, you've learned a lot of things, but you haven't quite understood the need to absorb and grow as a person. I think just you're very good at seeing yourself in a positive light, but being able to see yourself as not perfect and seeing yourself as still needing work and still needing to grow is something that they want to point out. It's not that you haven't gone through enough change, but it's something that you guys definitely need to keep that in mind, is that no one is perfect and everyone has to grow at some stage. But the main thing is being able to see that you still need to grow and taking on the advice of others. Whether you put it into action or not, that's up to you, but at least considering their point of view. And I think that's blocking you a little bit in terms of being able to go from this Queen of Swords card, who is very much in control, good at words, good at talking, good at, you know, getting their way with life and having a lot of intelligence, to something above that, which would be the King of Swords, and being able to have authority and being able to, you know, be seen as a leader. I think that if that is your goal, then that's something that you need to improve on, is that taking advice from others is not a weakness and it's not something that needs to be held on to. And it's fine to be true to yourself. That's definitely something that you need to do. It's not something that should be hindered, and you're good at that. But it also isn't all that you have to do in this life. And I think a lot of the times you sort of look within yourself a lot of the time, and that's definitely good and that's definitely positive. But in terms of being able to let go and either let others take the reign or take advice from other people, I think you're holding on to so much control that you're not able to follow through with things as easily. It could be that you're overthinking as well a lot of the factors that are coming through with your life, but with the flow with the rhythm, it's all about being able to let go and being able to do things without having to think. I think that intuitive thought process of just doing because you feel like it is something that hasn't cropped up. I feel like a lot of the times when it comes to helping people, advising people, talking to people, you're thinking through a lot of what you need to say and what you need to do. Whereas what you need to try is see things as just do it and see what happens. I think that control aspect is something that you haven't quite got the grasp of yet. And with the Strength card here, which is reversed, the Strength card is all about seeing the uncomfortable and embracing it. And I think a lot of the time for you, you've sort of held on to a lot of the way people perceive you and the way people absorb who you are. And with the King of Wands card here, this sort of looks like peacock feathers to me. So in that sense, you're sort of seeing yourself as someone who is not able to really sit and process being uncomfortable in situations. You're always wanting to show your best and do your best and not make mistakes. And that is not all of you. And you need to go back to that energy of a child learning. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do things wrong. And there's nothing that you can do to change that. So it's definitely something for you to try and do where you're not overthinking your actions, not overthinking your words. You just do what you feel like doing. And that's something that will take a lot of time to sort of develop, and for you to really put that into action will definitely take quite a bit of time. But it's the only way to really move forward in something different. At the moment, you're sort of stuck in that energy where you're not able to push through and you're not able to think of new things that can change or pursue things that are different and unique, because you're sort of stuck in that energy where you're scared of doing things that are different and that need to change. I think that's something that it takes a lot of time to work on. It takes a lot of effort to try and think through what is right for you and what you need to do to really improve. But you've gone through so many cycles. You went through cycles left, right, and center in terms of changing yourself and growing yourself into a much better person. But the main thing is being able to not only embrace your growth, but also embracing things that you still haven't grown in and still haven't been able to absorb a lot of the time. So the prompt for you guys in terms of take-home messages: what emotions come up for you when you're dancing? Do you feel uncertainty or shame about your body and how it moves? Do you feel joy or freedom? Do you feel awkward? Whatever feelings may arise, ask yourself why that is that you might be experiencing these emotions. And that also goes for when you do things that are not perfect and are uncomfortable and that you want to be in control in but need to let go. If you did let go when you did those actions, would it feel a lot better or would it feel very uncomfortable? I think it's up to you to figure out how to let go of seeing yourself a certain way and let go of seeing how others perceive you and overthinking your actions and overthinking your words, because in the end you're sort of blocking your own progress. As humans, we have a tendency to grow. It's about evolution, and that's how we are meant to live life. But if you're blocking a lot of that energy, then you're not able to really grow into who you want to be or who you should be. So that is just something that you need to think about and consider. But overall, your inner child is very much proud of who you've become and the cycles you have gone through to get here and the challenges that you have encountered. But the main thing is let go. As easy as it is to say, that is just something that you have to do. So pile 3, that is your reading. Please do like and subscribe so I can continue giving you readings that are more accurate for you. So if you do subscribe, I can connect to your energy a lot better. I can provide you with much better and more accurate readings a lot of the time for things that you do need in your life. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.